My name's Maria Wilson and I work for Contact a Family. We're a national charity and we support children and young people up to the age of 25 and their families with any level of additional need or disability with or without a diagnosis. So for a lot of the families, you know, with this conference, it's obviously a difficult journey getting a diagnosis, but we'd still support them. So really, this is a sort of quick overview on like maximising your finances, looking at certain benefits that you might be entitled to, understand the main benefits that your children and young people and young adults can get, know where to get that support, and some update on changes and sort of guidance. So is anybody here today? I know you mentioned about the PIP. You're happy for me to talk about that?
What Timmy's going on to. We just sort
of transitioning over from DLA.
We transitioned, but she was refused it.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, that isn't unusual. So we'll have a look at PIP. So they're the main benefits that you can get. Disability living allowance, personal independence, carers allowance, some tax credits. They're the ones that we're going to look at today. I will talk about PIP, but obviously I've got to go through. Is anybody else really interested in DLA? I'll go through it all, yeah. I'll go through it all, yeah. So these some facts about people not claiming benefits, and some people sort of miss out on the benefits that they're entitled to. So obviously it's going to reduce their finances, and they often find out by chance. I'm surprised how many people that I've met and they've got children who are 16 and they've said to me, I didn't know anything about DLA. It's quite sad. A really good source of information to find out about any benefits is join like groups like this, you know, go to support groups, go to parent carer forums. The parents are the fountain of all knowledge, and you often get that information there. So reasons for not claiming them. A lot of it, people, as I said, they don't know they're entitled to them. People think that you need a diagnosis. You don't need a diagnosis to make a claim for DLA or PIP. Some children will never ever get a diagnosis if they've got a very rare condition. They may never get a diagnosis, or it could take a long time before they get a diagnosis confirmed. Some people do feel maybe they're not entitled to them. They assume, given wrong information. I think the next one is the main reason myself. The forms are very difficult to complete, and I think that they're designed like that to discourage people from applying for the benefits. And another one which a lot of parents do see, they don't see the child as having a disability, and also I think it's not on there. It's quite difficult to fill that form in for your child and actually write down all the areas where they need support, and because you're so used to doing it or providing that support and assistance and supervision, you don't sort of realise how much more that you're doing, and so you know filling that form in can be quite daunting and very an emotional thing to do for a child. So disability living allowance, we've gone through all that. But disability living allowance and PIP, they're not means tested. You can be a millionaire and apply for them. So you know, they're available for everybody. The DLA, it's got two components, the mobility and the care component. And your child's needs for care and supervision must be substantially greater for a non-disabled child. For younger children, that can be quite difficult when you're applying for DLA because you already do a lot for a young child. So it's quite hard to differentiate what are you doing for a baby that you're doing for a child who's got additional needs if they're about 2 or 3. You know, you'd have to, you sort of have to really sort of have a lot of information to show that you're doing a lot more than you would do. But it's, you know, people do get it for young children if they are providing that level of care and supervision. And the last one is about where your residence and how long have you sort of been in the UK. So it is really worth claiming. It is a gateway for a lot of other things. Extra tax credits, carers allowance, and also lots of other things as well, where if you do get DLA or PIP, you can get in free in a lot of places as a carer. So it opens up a lot more things as well for you. And it is designed to help you look to, you know, what extra costs, you know, can be heating, it can travel costs, it can be like numerous things, helps you really provide for the additional costs to meet your child's needs. So they're just examples of the type of things that could increase. Big one is, you know, additional transport costs. When children are in hospital as well, that's quite an expense. You know, visiting, the parking, the additional subsistence cost. You know, you don't go home if your child's been in hospital for a couple of weeks or a month, or they're awaiting surgery, or they're awaiting results from tests. You don't go home and start cooking a family meal. You'd have more takeaways. You know, all the coffees and sandwiches, you may have to pay for childcare to look after your other children. It just goes on and on. So these are just examples of different additional costs. One, you may have to have specialised food. You know, these all different types of things that the list is endless, really. Does anybody want to ask any questions where they've got any additional costs, or just jump in? Yeah. Has anybody had a child that's been in hospital for quite a while? Yeah.
I've had both. So I've had a child that was in hospital for quite a while, and then we've had massive utility bills as well.
Yeah.
Because we've carers overnight, and he sleeps downstairs.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what really increased. Are you getting all your DLA?
Yeah, I'll just need to probably claim for the mobility element.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to cover the mobility element in a moment. Yeah, so how to claim, I think, has everybody done that? Have you? Yeah, so we won't really do that, but the benefit, I hope that you all did order your claim pack, not download it. Did you order it or download it? You can't remember? Okay, well, if you order it, then you've got a 6-week window, and then the claim's live the day you make the phone call. So when you send your form in, it's backdated. If you download it, you only get the benefit from the time they get the form. So it's always advisable, if you know someone, to ring up and then get it back within that 6-week window. You can get an extension as well to get it extended if you need a bit more time, but then it'll be backdated. So your claim's live from the call. So for anything, it's always worth ringing up, whether it be PIP or DLA. Yeah. It's always a good idea to try and get someone to help you fill the form in. I think they take 3 hours at least to fill in if you're going to do them properly. It is quite a difficult form, and the PIP as well. And I also think it's worth, when you're thinking about it, is to start collating your evidence. Keep a diary for a couple of weeks, because there's that much information on the form. It's really difficult, and you would never look at that form and be able to fill it without sort of missing things, things that you perhaps didn't think were important to gather information on. So I've put the rates up there, and they're obviously this year's rates, which have just changed in April. Okay, so PIP is similar to DLA. The assessment is different. But we'll talk. But PIP is different. There is. It looks at like daily living, so different components of daily living, and how your disability or health impacts your daily living. So this is what you're looking at, isn't it? Once you transition to PIP, so they will receive a letter, which you probably received, inviting you to make the claim, and you don't get moved over automatically. So if your child is not able to manage, you can be their appointee, and they do come out and visit you. Did it happen to you?
No, we had to go
to go to them, yeah.
to them.
Yeah, okay. So quite often they'll do home visits. And did they agree for you to be appointee, or did you not think that was necessary?
I don't think we were even asked.
You weren't even asked. Okay, well you can ask and explain why you need to be. If someone struggles to manage the money, or because of the health condition, the way it's variable, you can ask. They don't always agree. There's got to be valid reason why you want to be appointee. It's not. You need to request it. Whereas DLA, because your child's under 16, it's automatic. So that's the sort of difference. There is. They're the rates. It is a whole different process. These are health assessment. So a lot of them are being done over the phone. Is that what you had, a health assessment?
No, we had to go to...
So they're going all back to face. A lot of them are still being done over the phone. What stage are you at?
Tilly went for her assessment last week. My wife think it didn't go very well, but we're still waiting to hear the outcome.
Yeah, it's quite daunting, isn't it? Because it's totally different from the DLA, and the questions as well. You know, some of them that are unnecessary. It's a lengthy. It's tough, isn't it? Did you find it tough? Yeah, and nothing can prepare you for that health assessment after being on the DLA, and quite often. A lot of the information that's fed back isn't what's been discussed. That's what I've found with people. I've supported them through health assessment. It's incorrect, and that's really frustrating. Okay, so really they're just some tips about filling the forms in generally. I always say when I'm filling something in for somebody, if you were to give that to somebody else to read who doesn't know your child, have they got enough information in the form, on the form, to have a really good grasp of what you're trying to put on that paper? Because it's quite difficult, isn't it? Because it's getting passed to a stranger. They're going to read the medical evidence, but it's good if you really have that information quite clear, and all the areas that you feel that you provide that extra support, that care, you know, all those types of things. And keep a copy. So if you refused PIP or DLA, you can ask for a mandatory reconsideration. Is that where you're up to now? And I've actually sat in on quite a few health assessments, and I'm surprised, and I've actually challenged it myself and sent support and evidence saying that was not discussed, that's not what the person said. You know, it's quite stressful to say the least, yeah.
I think they're setting you up to fail.
Well, they are, yeah, quite a lot. And I think with conditions as well that are unusual, that people don't have a lot of information about, they've got no knowledge of, invisible conditions, rare conditions, it makes this process a lot harder. You know, I'm not saying that's right, but it does. It makes it a lot harder for everybody with unusual and rare conditions, the way they present, and conditions that can wax and wane. It just makes everything so much more difficult. So you're looking at making a fresh application rather than appealing. Yeah, okay. On the fresh application, then you've got to sort of like different grounds to why. So if you've got more information to add to that, have you got some help with it?
No, not at the
No.
moment, no.
Okay. Whereabout do you live?
Luton.
Luton. Okay. You do have some limited tribunal, don't we? Helpline. There's a tribunal helpline. Would you not go to your CAB or one of the welfare benefits advisory services?
We'd have to look into it. We're also looking into whether maybe universal credit might be better.
Yeah. Okay, because it is a minefield, and I wouldn't recommend anybody to run to an appeal without some welfare benefits advisor support, because the whole process is quite difficult, these time frames and, you know, direct court directions, and, you know, it really would be helpful if you got someone to help you. So you've just had your health assessment?
Yeah, so we're just waiting to hear the outcome, basically.
Okay.
But my wife seemed to think it, you know, she was trying to tell her certain things, but she was coming back with, well, on this document it says this, and she weren't, my wife got the impression she wasn't really listening to her.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know, I'm not hopeful that we're going to get PIP.
It is a whole different process, it is, and it is a lot tougher, and it's getting tougher all the time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put about carers allowance there. So that's the present rates for carers allowance. You know, it's obviously only, you've got to work so many hours a week, quite low on the amount of money that you can earn. And you've got to receive certain components of the DLA. There is some advantages of applying for carers allowance because you can sometimes get a premium and things like that. It also, you know, can be a gateway to reduction sometimes in your council tax. Yeah, so is the big one, universal credit. It is a bit of a minefield, universal credit. It is replacing all the legacy benefits, all the income support, the work and tax credit, the housing benefits. They were all individual benefits, and now it's obviously all under one system. It's all done online. You keep a journal. You have to update the journal. It's quite difficult, to be honest. Has anybody ever applied for it? No.
I'm on university.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult?
I did initially.
Yeah.
To be fair, now that it's been going for a while.
Yeah. So you've
okay.
Yeah. You can't never get through to them. It's all on the journal, isn't it? You know,
Never rang.
Yeah.
Never once. I always leave a message.
Yeah. Okay. On it. So everything's online, which isn't ideal, but that's the system that we've got. So all sorts of legacy benefits are sort of migrating over to universal credit. We'll look at that. So it replaced all the legacy benefits, and people are going over to UC. Yeah. So yeah. So they're being asked. They will be moving. They are starting to move in June this month. It's a pilot scheme. It's for people on tax credits, and then it'll roll out to other benefits. If you do need support with universal credit, I definitely would get in touch with a welfare benefits advisor. Have a helpline. You can ring up and speak to somebody about the benefits. You can get a benefits check, better off calculation, to make sure you're getting all the benefits that you're entitled to, and go through it. And lots of other organisations do that as well. It's very difficult because some are offset against each other, and you've got to make sure that you're maximising the benefits. Local authorities as well have a maximised benefits team, but you know, it's difficult sometimes to get hold of somebody. Yeah, so there is concerns. There's a disability element which is lower than it is on the legacy benefits. So you'll either get a carer element or a disability element, but not both. There'll be no payments for looked after children in residential accommodation. So some children, if they've got quite complex needs and they're in supported living residential accommodation, they may come home holidays. You still provide a lot of support, and come home at weekends, but you will lose that aspect of your benefits. And the same for where both couples care for the child, only one partner would may be asked to look for work. So some children with complex needs, both parents are sort of claiming under the UC that will go. So that's one of the disadvantages. There is some advantages. 80% of childcare costs will be met, but that's because they're trying to get people to go back to work, which is good, you know, but not everybody is able to. You no longer need to work the 16 hours to get the help with the childcare, and you can get an addition, even if your earnings are too high to get carers allowance. So all I could say is about universal credit is there's massive changes, and get a welfare benefits advisor to go through it all for you, to make sure that when you make the application that you've got it right. If you stay on the legacy benefits as long as you can, you're usually better off with them. Don't move over to UC unless you have to. So sometimes it's all the fresh claims. Eventually you will have to move over, but if you're on any legacy benefits, you're better off on them. Yeah, so one of those, a positive as well about carers allowance, you know, you're exempt from all conditionally work-focused interviews as well. So that's sort of another positive about it as well. You can get help with council tax. You can get a disability reduction. Different local authorities have different schemes, and you can get a council tax reduction. The disability reduction is if you've got equipment in the house, or so if you've got a walking frame, wheelchair, standing frames, or if you use a room for therapies. So basically part of your home is lost. I don't know if that's something that applies to you.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you go down a band, that's what happens. The form's really easy. Take a couple of minutes to fill in. So that you just get it from your local authority. You will need an OT or a physio just to fill the bottom part of that in to say, you know, confirm that's correct. These different local schemes, different local authorities offer different things. They're all slightly different. And then there's a council tax reduction, sometimes as a carer, and other benefits. But you're always best to get someone to do a welfare benefits check. But that top on there is really straightforward. Yeah, so it's worth you looking at that. Yeah. Yeah, these help with utility bills from different companies. You can get your water capped. Would you saying your utility bills are really high?
Yeah, in particular our electricity, because the heating's on all day and all night.
Okay.
Well, obviously during the summer it's off during the day. Okay. But it's on all night. Yeah.
Okay. You get your blue badge, which provides, you know, benefits for parking, road tax exemption. If you get certain levels of PIP or DLA, you won't have to pay for the road tax if you get the mobility component. And I don't know if you know what a CEA card is. I don't know why they've put that on there. And a Max card. It's a card where you pay £6, about £6 I think it is, and you get in the carer free to go in to the cinema. I think your child's got to be over 8 to get it. Have you got one of them? Yeah. They're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Max card as well, that gives all different concessions, reductions, different, you know, for all sorts of activities all around the country, sort of from trampolining to sort of parks to all different sorts of places. So it's worth having a look at it, getting that. You can get help with bus and rail travel. You can get free bus and rail passes. Again, look at your local authority for that. There is criteria. You've got to meet a certain level of need to get the bus pass. Family Fund is a charity. It's probably the biggest charity that provide grants. I don't know whether anybody's accessed it. If you're not accessed it, yeah. It's the easiest one to apply for. They do various grants. There is a main grant that they do where you can get iPads. They'll give money towards holidays. They'll do white goods. They'll do outdoor garden equipment. It's up to 17, 18. They then offer another grant for young people as well. So it could be, I think that goes up to 24. And you can actually get things like, if you were going to college, you can get help with, you know, say perhaps you were doing catering college, so if you need equipment, hairdressing, it's quite variable. One of the grants the Family Fund do, which isn't on the website, which I think is really one worth mentioning, with you saying your child was in hospital for a long time, you do an urgent grant as well. So you have to get an authoriser at the hospital. So if your child or young person is in hospital for more than 2 weeks, you can get extra money. and it goes in within a day or two into your account. The form's quite quick. It's for all the additional costs. So there will be people at certain hospitals who deal with the family fund urgent grants. I used to do them when I was at Older Hay. So we've put certain organisations that might help. Obviously, organisations that are, specific to your condition, carer organisations. I'm not going to list them; they're all there. The Cerebral Guide at the bottom is really good. Have you got that? No? Yeah, that's a brilliant guide. So that goes through step by step on filling the DLA form. Contact, I've got a helpline as well, welfare benefits advisors. They also do, as I said before, the 2-hour Money Matters, which does go through the form in a lot more detail. And there's lots of information on their website about benefits as well. So it's really worth, if you are doing, they do a good guide as well, going from DLA to PIP as well. So it's really worth having a look at that. It goes in a lot more detail because we're covering all the benefits here. So I know you wanted to know about mobility. Yeah.
Because he's only 3,
yeah.
And they've said to us that we weren't allowed to have any mobility element until he was over 3.
Well, you don't. Your child's got to be 3, but there is a grant what the Family Fund do, which how old's your child now?
He's 3.
Oh, he's just 3. Oh, they do another grant as well, which is and you've got to meet the threshold, the criteria for the mobility component of the DLA, and you've also got to be under the financial eligibility for the family fund. But they will actually give you, lease the car for you. So it's worth you knowing this for other families. Under a grant until you meet that age of 3 where you're eligible.
Okay.
So once you're 3, if you can get it if it's high rate mobility, and when children are 5 you can get it for low rate mobility component. So it's really awful because you can get children who are oxygen dependent, live in a rural area where there's no public transport, and you've got lots of appointments and a real need, but that DLA for the mobility component under 3 doesn't exist, but that family fund do a grant, and it's done in conjunction with Motability as well, who provide the Motability. So they lease you the car, and then when you hit 3, you can then apply for the mobility high rate component and then get the lease of the car from them. Yeah, okay. Is anybody else? Yeah. So you're just dreading your review. Yeah. So So I think everybody else has come for the next session, haven't they? So there is some other. We've got quite a bit of information on the stand. Karen's doing a talk on SEND. I'm doing a general one. But there is lots of resources, and I definitely wouldn't recommend going to an appeal without, appealing without support. It's really worth you trying to get some support. So we're available to, if you want to come over, if you think of things a bit later on. We've got lots of information on lots of different things, and on where you can get subsidised holidays, and with tracking and hoisting, and we just mentioned the CEA card there, and we mentioned the Max card, but we both know lots of information on lots of other things, subsidies, other charities, and we're happy to give information on Contact and any other charities that we've got some knowledge on. Okay, all right, thank you.